Hey guys, today we step into a snow-laced forest where the pine trees sway like sleepy dancers and the cold air hums with the breath of distant creatures. You probably wouldn't survive 5 minutes out here, but the lynx, well, she was made for this. Her world is one of hush and shadow. Paw prints trail lightly over freshly fallen snow, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. A wind stirs, curling between branches, whispering something ancient. Somewhere, a snowy owl hoots once and disappears into the hush. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? And what time is it where you are? Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The cold meets me gently as I step into the forest, not sharp or punishing, just present. It wraps around my coat like a quiet hand, reminding me I'm not made for this place the way she is. Ahead, between the stillness and the snow, I see her. A young lynx, barely grown, perched at the edge of a clearing that glows faintly under a pale moon. Her fur is the color of fog and driftwood, tipped with light, soft as frost. She moves like breath, almost not at all, but deeply alive. She hasn't seen me yet. Or maybe she has, and she simply doesn't care. That's the way lynxes are. They belong to the hush. They don't rush or announce themselves. They just appear, like a memory you aren't sure you made up. She's standing so still, I wonder if she's listening to the wind. I step slowly, careful not to crunch the snow, and watch her ears twitch. Those black tufted triangles are tuned to everything. To me, to the crackling branches far off, to the low murmur of the forest shifting in its sleep. They say lynxes can hear a snowshoe hare's heartbeat from 30 meters away. That their hearing is so sharp, the very shape of silence speaks to them. Some researchers even wonder if they detect shifts in pressure, little barometric whispers that let them move before storms do. Tonight, she's not running. She's simply waiting. And not just for anything. She's waiting for a feeling. She's lived close to the roots and beneath the brambles since she was born, low, hidden, folded into the landscape. Her den might have been under a crooked pine, where the earth rises in a soft swell and roots make a cage of safety. I picture her curled against her mother, eyes still closed, ears pressed to warmth. But she's alone now. There's no trail that tells me why. No obvious loss or danger. Just the kind of absence that forests know too well. Lynx mothers sometimes vanish, slipping away when their cubs are still learning how to be alone. No one agrees on why. Was it instinct? Scarcity? Something older than logic? She must have waited. I can feel it in her posture. The way she hovers near movement, but doesn't quite trust it. First, she probably stayed in the den for hours, then wandered in small, worried loops, calling into snow that didn't answer back. She must have learned slowly that no one was coming back. Her shape now, leaner, stronger, more alert, carries the weight of that lesson. She didn't just grow, she adapted. Now, as I follow her, I notice how she walks, softly, carefully. Like each step is a question she's still deciding how to ask. She stays close to tree trunks, brushing against bark like it's familiar. She doesn't dart or flee, just moves when it feels right. She pauses at a rise in the land where the snow opens up, giving way to a narrow ridge with bare-limbed birch trees on either side. The wind gathers there. It lifts the snow in swirls, brushing against her whiskers and fur. and she leans into it, just barely. Something in her posture shifts. It's almost imperceptible, a tilt of the head, the loosening of one shoulder, and then she takes a step, not back, forward. She crosses the open ridge with no urgency, her body low and long. I trail behind, careful not to disturb the trail. Her paw prints are wide, rounded, more like snow pads than feet. That's another marvel of Lynx design. Their paws are so large and covered in fur that they act like built-in snowshoes. They don't sink, they float. As I watch her glide across the crusted snow, I think about how differently she moves from the other animals here. She doesn't track with hunger. She listens with her whole body. She waits, not because she's unsure, but because she's tuned to a rhythm I'll never quite hear. She halts again, this time near a crooked spruce. A low branch brushes her shoulder. She presses her nose to the bark. There, caught in a fissure, is a tuft of fur, pale gray. Her own, perhaps, or her mother's. She sniffs once, lingers for a breath, and moves on. No urgency, no mourning, just forward. I wonder what that smell brings back, if it's memory or reassurance, or maybe it's neither. Maybe it's just a signpost that tells her she's still in the story, that the wind hasn't forgotten her after all. She heads deeper now, back into the thickets, where the pine trees grow denser and the wind softens into rustles. I follow quietly, heart slowing to match the rhythm of her steps. Something about the way she moves now is different, less hesitant, less afraid. She's learning to trust the wind, not because it promises safety, but because it asks her to keep moving, even when nothing makes sense. She leads me deeper now. We pass the clearing, and the trees begin to thicken, bending gently over a narrowing trail where snow piles like slow-moving water. Her path winds, not because she's lost, but because she's listening. Every few steps, she pauses and tilts her head, as if the forest is speaking, and she doesn't want to miss a word. I follow as quietly as I can, but even when I think I've managed silence, she hears me. She always does, the twitch of an ear. A subtle glance over the shoulder, not fearful, just aware. She doesn't flee. She never has. I think she knows I'm not here to take anything from her. The cold settles in thicker here, like breath holding itself. Pines close in from all sides. Mossy trunks and wind-scoured bark give off the softest scent, faintly damp, faintly sweet. I duck beneath a leaning branch and come out on the other side of a trail I didn't even realize we were on. She's already ahead, nose low to the snow. Her whiskers fan forward, reading the air. Her steps fall in a rhythm that's less cautious now, more thoughtful, like she's walking beside a memory, not away from it. Somewhere between this step and the last, she starts to glide. I watch her movements shift. They stretch. Her legs swing more freely. She threads between the tree trunks like thread through a loom. And for the first time, I sense she's not merely surviving tonight. She's exploring. It's strange how subtle the difference is between fear and curiosity. A single breath can tip it. A moment of stillness. A scent that reminds you of who you were before the snow settled in. They say lynxes have poor endurance. They're built for quick bursts of grace, not long pursuits. But tonight, she seems tireless. The forest doesn't drain her. It gives something back. I think of her childhood den again, tucked beneath a fallen pine. How many nights did she watch her mother melt into the trees, returning with something warm, or simply returning? And then one night, not returning at all. I can't help but wonder. Does she still look for her? Or has she stopped needing to? There's a small dip ahead where the snow gathers in a shallow bowl. She doesn't avoid it. She walks right into its center and sits. Just like that. No hesitation. Her body folds into the snow like she belongs there. And she does. I crouch nearby, quiet and low, heart slowing to match the stillness. She curls into herself, front paws tucked neatly under her chest, back legs folded like soft hinges. Her thick tail wraps over her toes, covering them from the cold. Only her ears stay upright, swiveling gently as if listening to thoughts I can't hear. They say lynxes don't use dens year-round. Outside of raising cubs or seeking shelter from storms, they drift. Their territory stretches for miles, and their resting spots change with the snow. There's safety and unpredictability. Still, this spot feels intentional. She rests, but she's not asleep. Her breathing is slow but steady, the kind of rhythm that comes not from exhaustion, but from a deep exhale. Like she's been holding something in for too long and finally let go of it without realizing. I shift slightly, and she turns her head. Our eyes meet. It's not a moment of alarm. It's not even surprise. It's acknowledgement. She knows I'm here. She always has. And in this small, snowy hollow, she allows me to remain. The air is heavy with quiet. Not silence, quiet. There's a difference. Silence is empty. Quiet is full of things that don't need to speak. Above us, snowflakes drift down, slow and steady. One lands on her ear. She doesn't shake it off. That stillness, it does something to me. There's no drama here, no danger, no plot twist. Just this lynx sitting in the snow, and me lucky enough to see her do it. A raven calls in the distance, a long, dry sound that bounces once and disappears. She blinks. The wind picks up, swirling gently through the pines, dusting the low branches. Her fur stirs, but she doesn't move. She's starting to trust the wind. I feel it too. That change. It's in her body language, the way she stays instead of fleeing. The way she moves not with fear, but with a question. What's beyond this? What if I don't hide? Some scientists debate whether lynxes have a kind of mental map, an internal compass guided not by sight, but by the scent memory of places. I wonder if this clearing was a marker in her mind, a touchstone she's now reclaiming. Or maybe it's just a place that feels like exhaling. She yawns, wide and slow, exposing white teeth and a pink tongue. It's not threatening. It's a signal. I'm not worried. I'm here. For now. She lies down fully, legs tucked beneath her, tail stretched loosely behind. Her breath rises in little clouds. I let mine match it. And then, without knowing why, I close my eyes too. Not to sleep, just to feel what she feels. Time passes, though I couldn't tell you how much. Long enough for the snow to deepen a little. Long enough for the shadows to shift. When I open my eyes again, she's watching the treetops, ears twitching softly. And I swear, for just a second she looks peaceful. Not safe, not tame, just at peace. In a forest that once felt too big, too cold, too full of teeth and memory, she has found a hollow that says, "You belong." And tonight, I believe her. She rises again, not quickly, not startled, just slowly, with a kind of grace that feels inherited, like something passed down in silence. Her body stretches into motion, fluid as the wind that trails softly behind her. I stand too, careful not to disturb the gentle balance she's found here. Her prints are still fresh behind her, a looping ribbon of round impressions in the snow. I glance at them as I walk, noticing how each step lands precisely in line. No wandering, no waste. That's the Lynx way. Efficient, invisible. If you weren't looking closely, you'd think she floated. We move into a thicker part of the forest now. The pines are older here, taller, their trunks a darker gray. Lichen hangs from the limbs like ancient scarves. The snow is deeper too, undisturbed by deer or foxes. It feels like a place forgotten by time. And still, she walks as if it remembers her. She veers left, nose low, trailing a scent only she understands. I follow from a respectful distance, watching the rise and fall of her shoulders, the way she pauses briefly at each fallen branch or hollowed stump, considering something I'll never quite grasp. There's a story being told in the snow, and she's reading it. The forest holds more than just paths. It holds messages, layered scents, scratch marks, a broken twig that means more than it seems. To her, the landscape is alive with information, and every few steps, she learns something. We reach a point where the trees part slightly, letting in a bit more sky. The clouds have shifted, revealing a ribbon of blue-black above us, sprinkled with early stars. She glances up, eyes catching a shimmer, and for the first time, I see something like wonder. It makes me smile, because until now, I wasn't sure she had room for that. Just then, she crouches, not to pounce. There's no tension in her spine. It's more like curiosity. Her eyes focus on a patch of snow near a stand of young spruce. I peer closer. Something's moved there. A trail, small, light, barely pressed into the surface. And then I see it. A snow hare. It's sitting perfectly still, not more than 15 feet away. Ears high, body round as a puffball. It blends so completely into the snow that it takes me a moment to be sure it's real. She doesn't leap. She watches. Her body is still, tail flicking just once, then stopping. The hare doesn't move either. For a full minute, maybe more, they just exist together in the same space. Not predator and prey. Just two wild things sharing the hush. It's rare moments like this. And more than anything, it's quiet. Some say lynxes are opportunists. They'll stalk if the hunger is sharp enough, but they won't waste energy if the odds aren't right. Others argue there's more to it. That sometimes, especially the young ones, just want to observe. To understand the world before rushing into it. She doesn't chase the hare. She lets it go. When it finally hops away, disappearing behind a snowbank, she simply stands and shakes the snow from her coat. Her expression hasn't changed, but something about her posture feels lighter. She walks on, and I follow. As we move, I think about that moment. Not just what it was, but what it wasn't. There was no lunge, no noise, just a breath held between two wild hearts. We reach a sloping hill, the snow loose underfoot. She moves upward, not quickly, but with purpose, choosing each foothold with care. I climb after her, boots slipping occasionally, while she glides like water over stone. At the top, the forest thins again, revealing a small plateau dusted with untouched snow. She circles slowly, then sits. Her chest rises and falls in long, steady waves. It's here that I notice something else. There are other prints, not fresh but not old either. Just faint enough to stir recognition. Another lynx, maybe. Her mother, a sibling, or perhaps a stranger. She sniffs the trail but doesn't follow it. She just acknowledges it. Then she lifts her head to the wind. It rushes across the open ridge, playful and persistent, carrying scents, sounds, and maybe a few answers. She closes her eyes for a moment, letting it comb through her fur. There's a theory among naturalists that wind helps wild cats map their world, not just through smell, but through memory. That a breeze can trigger something deeper than instinct. A feeling, a place remembered in the bones. Tonight, she doesn't resist it. She leans in. I stay quiet, letting her shape the silence. The stars above us are clearer now, spread across the sky like scattered salt. And beneath them, she sits, not as a shadow anymore, but as something fully formed. She's not hiding. She's listening. We descend from the ridge slowly, her pace easy, unhurried. The snow here is deeper, softer. It gives under our steps with a quiet hush, folding us deeper into the stillness. The trees return, smaller now, bent by wind and time. They creak gently as we pass, as though sighing in their sleep. She moves differently again, not quite cautious, but open. There's a kind of looseness to her stride now, as if something tight inside her has started to loosen. I trail just behind, far enough to give her space, close enough to feel the rhythm of her presence. That's when I see him. A snow hare, again, or maybe a different one. This time, not still, but bounding across the trail ahead, leaving a stitch of paw prints behind him. The lynx halts, ears forward, body frozen mid-step, but she doesn't lunge, doesn't flatten into a stalk. She just watches. The hare stops too, maybe 20 yards ahead, nose twitching. The two of them hold still in the dim light for what feels like a minute. No chase, no flight, just awareness. I exhale. So does she. Then the hare bounds off again, and this time she follows. Not quickly, not hunting, but with interest, almost playfully. Her tail flicks. She trots a few steps, pauses, trots again. Her head bobs slightly, paws lifting delicately from the snow. For a moment, I think she's smiling. Not in the way humans do, but in the language of movement, of choosing curiosity over hunger. There's a word for this, alafun, a kind of play behavior in animals that appears without purpose. Scientists debate whether it's rehearsal for survival or just joy. In lynxes, it's rare. Rare to see, rarer to be part of. I follow her through a gap in the trees, and suddenly we're in a new space. A small glade tucked between a slope and a frozen stream. Snow sparkles here in a way it didn't before. Maybe the light has shifted. Or maybe she's led us somewhere secret. She circles once, then flops down. Flops. Not a graceful crouch or deliberate lie down. She just lets herself drop into the snow, back legs tucked loosely, front paws stretched ahead. Her chin rests on one foreleg. She yawns. I blink, then chuckle softly. She lifts her eyes toward me but doesn't move, just watches. Then, as if in answer, a gust of wind slips between the trees, ruffling her fur and mine. She doesn't mind. She lets it pass over her like an old friend. I sit too, settling into a patch of snow that's still untouched. It folds around me gently. The cold doesn't bother me anymore, or maybe I've just adjusted to it. From here I can see the stream, frozen solid, its surface etched with thin fractures and patterns like frost flowers. She watches it too, not with hunger, not with caution, just presence. A raven calls somewhere nearby, but doesn't come closer. The world is wide, but right now, we've made it small. Just this glade. Just her. Just me. She starts to groom. Her tongue flicks out, licking the inside of her paw before drawing it over her ear, then again and again, slow, methodical. She switches to the other side, eyes half-lidded. This isn't performance. It's peace. Did you know lynxes have rough tongues just like house cats? Covered in tiny barbs called papillae, perfect for cleaning deep into fur. But there's something soothing in the motion, even to watch it, like the rhythm of waves or the slow flicker of firelight. Her grooming slows, then stops. She stretches out one leg, then curls into a tighter ball, ears folding slightly back. Not from fear, but from comfort. It's the posture of someone who doesn't expect to be disturbed. Some part of me relaxes with her. We sit like that for a while, maybe 20 minutes, maybe more. There's no hurry, nothing ahead that can't wait. The stream doesn't move, but I swear I hear water beneath it. Just barely, a low, subterranean hum. She lifts her head once more, sniffing the air. The wind has changed slightly. It's cooler, crisper. She tastes it with her nose, then closes her eyes. And in that moment, I feel a quiet agreement pass between us. She doesn't mind my presence anymore. She trusts the wind again. And maybe, just maybe, she trusts herself too. She rises again, not out of urgency, but readiness. Her muscles ripple beneath her fur as she stands and shakes off the snow. Then she looks up the slope beside us and begins to climb. No hesitation, no glancing back. I follow, and for the first time since this journey began, I feel like I belong here with her. Not as an observer, but as someone walking beside her, if only in spirit. And I realize something simple and beautiful. She's not following the wind anymore. She's walking with it. We climb together now. Her ahead, me somewhere in the echo of her steps. The slope is not steep, but steady. Snow slips under my boots in soft cascades, while her paws hold with practiced ease. She moves like she's tracing an invisible thread, something only she can see. Each time she turns her head, it's like she's asking the air if it's still listening. Halfway up, we pass a fallen tree, its roots exposed like a frozen fountain. She slows to sniff near the base where the snow is thinner. I crouch nearby and see the story in the ground. Tiny tracks, likely a vole or a squirrel, weaving between the roots. She sniffs once, then moves on. No interest. Not tonight. She's not hungry, not hunting. She's following something else, something the wind carries. Higher still, the trees begin to thin. The sky opens in pieces between their tops. I can see the bruised blue of twilight deepening above us. She pauses on a narrow ledge where stone juts out through the snow. The air is colder here, sharper but not cruel. She sits, and I sit with her. For a few minutes, we say nothing. Not that we could, but the quiet speaks for us. Beneath her paw, the stone is worn smooth, maybe from meltwater or from the passage of time. I rest my hand on a similar patch. It's cold, but not icy. It feels ancient, like it remembers. They say lynxes use elevated ground to scan their surroundings, not for conquest, just for knowledge. They're not territorial in the aggressive way some predators are. They simply want enough space, enough quiet, enough time to move as they please. She stares outward for a long while. I follow her gaze. What she sees is more forest, rolling white, speckled with shadow. But maybe she's not seeing what's there. Maybe she's seeing where she could go, or where she's already been. A breeze lifts again, brushing across our perch. She turns into it, closes her eyes, and breathes. I mimic her without meaning to. Inhale, exhale. The air tastes like pine and distance. She stands and stretches, legs long and deliberate. Then, without a sound, she begins to walk again, but not down the other side. She veers right, off the ridge and into a cluster of trees that look like they've been bent by years of snow. I follow. It's quieter here somehow. Even the birds have hushed. The ground is uneven, covered in fallen branches and drifted powder. She steps lightly, threading between them with a grace that feels like ritual. And then I see it. Nestled between two leaning trunks, half hidden beneath snow and branches, is the dark shape of an old den. Just a shallow depression in the earth, maybe 2 or 3 feet deep, ringed by roots and shadows. She stops at the entrance. Doesn't enter. Just stares. I wait, not daring to move closer. She steps forward, one paw at a time, slow and reverent. Her nose lowers to the snow. She sniffs the ground, the wood, the air. Something passes through her eyes, something I can't name. Maybe recognition, maybe ache. She crouches slightly, then pads around the edge of the hollow, her body pressed low. Her tail flicks once, then twice, and finally she steps inside. Only her back half is visible now. Her front half vanishes into the space beneath the roots. I hear nothing, see no movement, just the snow shifting gently in the breeze. This was hers once, or maybe it belonged to her mother. Or another lynx long before her. But she's returned to it, drawn not by logic, but by something older, muscle memory perhaps, or longing. Some scientists argue that wild animals don't feel nostalgia, that their brains don't work that way. But then there are moments like this, where an animal returns to a place for no practical reason. No food, no shelter, no safety, only scent, only memory. She emerges slowly, her face dusted with snow. Her expression is unreadable, but her steps are steady. She doesn't pause. She doesn't look back. Instead, she brushes her cheek against a low branch just beside the entrance. A quiet gesture, a way of saying, "I was here." Then she turns and keeps walking. I glance back at the den as we leave. There's no sign anything changed, no mark, no sound. But I feel it. She's not carrying that silence anymore. She left something behind. We move farther into the trees, and the wind picks up again. Stronger now, tugging at the branches above. Snow flutters down in spirals. She blinks, but doesn't flinch. She walks like someone who has faced her own shadow and no longer finds it threatening. She pauses once, at the base of a birch with peeling bark. Scratches climb its side. Claw marks, faint and old. Her ears twitch. Then she moves on. I wonder how many wild stories pass unnoticed in forests like these. How many quiet reckonings happen in snow-covered hollows. No cameras, no names, just paw prints, breath, and time. She leads us to another clearing, smaller than the last. The snow here is marked by a dozen tiny trails. Mice, birds, something with a tail. She doesn't investigate. She walks right to the center and stands, body tall, fur catching the wind. She's not hiding anymore. I stop at the edge, watching her silhouette against the dimming sky. And in that stillness, I understand something simple and profound. She didn't return to the den to remember. She returned so she could leave. She moves again, slipping into the woods beyond the clearing, her pace steady now. The lynx I follow isn't the same quiet creature who clung to the shadows earlier tonight. Her stride is longer, smoother, like she's stopped asking permission from the forest and begun walking as though she belongs to it. We follow a narrow path between leaning spruces. The snow here is older, crusted in places, soft in others. The cold deepens as we go, but she doesn't seem to notice. She's more alert now, but not from fear. Her ears turn sharply, her nose twitches, her paws shift rhythm with each change in terrain. She's collecting something with every step: information, confidence, maybe even peace. Ahead, the trees part slightly, and the terrain dips. I follow carefully, my boots crunching softly in the layers of snow. She steps lightly onto a narrow ice shelf. It looks like a stream once ran here, now frozen still, silenced under thick glass. She pauses at the edge and peers down. I move beside her, and for the first time, she doesn't flinch. The ice beneath us is streaked with delicate white threads, like veins in stone. Air bubbles are trapped just beneath the surface, frozen mid-movement. It looks like a frozen map, or maybe a paused breath. She steps onto it. I hold mine. One paw, then the next. The ice creaks under her weight, but only softly. She knows this sound. She's heard it before. She continues across, balancing like it's part of the forest's song. I stay back. I don't trust the ice like she does. Halfway across, she pauses, lowers her head, taps at the surface with a paw. A muffled echo travels through the ice, deep and slow. She presses one ear toward it, still as a statue. I wonder what she hears. Water, still flowing somewhere deep below? The murmur of roots thawing and freezing again? They say lynxes are solitary, but in winter, especially deep in remote woods, some have been known to follow each other's trails, moving days apart, leaving messages in scent, in scratches, in silence. Some researchers believe these echoes matter to them, that even when they walk alone, they feel the presence of others in the cold. She continues, crossing the last of the ice. On the other side, she turns and looks back, not at me, but at the path she's taken. The ice holds her memory now, just as the den did. And then she moves on. The trees are sparser here. The land slopes gently upward again, and I climb behind her. The sky has deepened into navy. Stars prick through the canopy, one by one. The wind brushes past my face, and for a second, I swear it carries her scent. Pine, frost, wildness. She halts near a low outcrop of rock, dusted with snow. Her paw brushes something as she steps, a branch, broken and stripped clean of bark. She stops, sniffs, then lowers her head and lies down right beside it. I don't approach. I stay at the edge of the outcrop and crouch, resting on my heels. I watch. She stretches onto her side slowly, her legs long and lean, her belly pressed to the cold stone. Her breath fogs in soft clouds. She rests her chin on her forearm. It's a place of pause. Something about the rock tells me it was once a resting spot for someone else. Another lynx, maybe. Or maybe her mother. There's no way to know for certain. But the way she settles there feels like a return. Not a retreat, a claiming. Did you know lynxes don't roar, don't growl often, don't bark like foxes or wail like wolves? They whisper, even in the way they speak. Their sounds are low, rare, and deeply intentional. To hear one vocalize is uncommon, but sometimes, in moments of solitude, they hum, not like a house cat's purr, but a vibrating sound that resonates in their chest. She lets out a sound now, barely audible, a soft, rumbling breath. Not fear, not warning, something closer to relief. She rolls onto her back, paws in the air, fur catching the wind. Snowflakes drift lazily down onto her belly, and she lets them. Her eyes close halfway, and I feel something in my own chest loosen. The air is colder now, but cleaner too. It smells of cedar, of stone, of the breath of 1,000 quiet animals who passed this way and left only their calm behind. The stars thicken above us. I lie back too, right into the snow, the cold seeping through my coat but not into my bones. I look up. I wonder if she sees the same constellations I do, or if she sees shapes only wild creatures understand, made not from stars, but from silence and wind and instinct. She rolls to her feet again after a while, shakes off the snow, and moves toward the edge of the outcrop. Her tail sways once behind her. She stands there, staring out over the slope below. There's something in her stance now that wasn't there before. Not tension, not excitement, certainty. She's come far, not just in distance, but in the way her body holds itself. No longer curled inward, no longer waiting for something to call her back. She walks now like she's choosing the path, not chasing it. And I, walking a few steps behind, feel lucky just to witness it. The wind moves again, a little stronger this time, not cruel, but confident. It pushes through the trees, brushing branches into gentle clatters. She closes her eyes, leans into it, and I understand. The lynx doesn't need the forest to change. She only needed to meet it as she is now. She descends the slope now, her body moving with a confidence that feels earned, not borrowed. I follow behind her, slower on the descent, careful where I place each step. The snow is deep in places, windswept in others, the land beneath it sloping at a quiet angle. She doesn't hesitate. Her path curves slightly, following the subtle dips in the terrain as though she's done this before. Maybe she has. A gust of wind picks up, strong enough to rattle a few dry pine branches. She pauses, ears perked. For a moment, I wonder if she'll retreat, but she doesn't. Instead, she waits. She lets the wind pass over her like a wave. She blinks, adjusts her stance, and continues on. There's no rush to her movement. But it's clear now, she's going somewhere. Not fleeing, not wandering, following something. As we cross into a denser patch of trees, I begin to notice something strange. Another set of paw prints, faint, nearly filled in by drifting snow. But they're there, not hers. Slightly larger, older. Her pace slows. She sniffs the air, steps delicately over the prints. Her ears twitch, tail lifts slightly. There's no fear, just recognition. For a few paces, her steps match those prints. Not overlapping, just beside, like a quiet echo. I watch her carefully. Her body stays loose but attentive. She's alert to something. Not just scent or sound, but presence. Could it be another lynx? Some researchers say lynxes are strictly solitary, that even brief overlaps are rare and usually avoidant. But there have been observations, especially in younger lynxes, of temporary pairings. Not quite bonds, not quite partnerships, just parallel paths. I look again. The tracks wind ahead, looping around a fallen log. She follows, not precisely but close. Then she pauses. Ahead, barely visible through the trees, something shifts. A flick of fur. I freeze. She sees it too. Her body lowers, not in a stalking crouch, but in a posture of observation. Her ears tilt slightly forward. I strain to see through the branches. There, just past a drift, half shrouded by a cluster of saplings, another lynx, larger, sitting still, watching. Neither of them moves. Snow drifts between them like mist. The forest hushes, as if holding its breath. Even the wind stills, curious. They hold each other's gaze. It's not hostile. There's no growl, no tail lash. Just the quiet tension of possibility. She shifts one paw forward. Slowly, the other lynx stands, stretches, doesn't approach, but doesn't run. Their bodies are mirrors of caution and curiosity. I hold still, not daring to break this thread between them. A long moment passes. Then, without sound, the second lynx turns and slips into the shadows, disappearing behind a curtain of falling snow. She doesn't follow. She watches the spot for several long seconds. Her ears lower slightly. Not in defeat, something softer. And then she does something unexpected. She walks forward, not in pursuit, but to the place where the other lynx stood. She sniffs the snow, the air, the branches still trembling from his passing. Her tail flicks once, then settles, and then she sits. Right there, where he had been. She rests her paws in the same place, faces the same direction. It's not loneliness I feel in her now. It's something else, a kind of knowing. A feeling that she's not as alone in this wide, wild world as she once thought. They crossed paths without touching, shared breath without words, but it was enough. She lies down in the snow, curling into herself. Her breathing slows. The sky above us darkens into full night, stars blooming across its surface. The moon hasn't risen yet, but the forest is aglow with something quiet and silver. I stay at the edge, watching her rest where he had rested. There's a kind of poetry in it. Not romance, not longing, just presence. Two wild hearts, shaped by silence, brushing past one another in the dark. Some naturalists argue that lynxes lack complex emotional depth, that they operate purely on instinct and pattern. But watching her now, I wonder if that's just a story we tell because we're afraid to imagine animals feeling the same quiet things we do. Like relief, like recognition, like peace. After a while, she rises, shakes off the snow, stretches her long limbs. She looks once more into the trees, where he had gone. Then she turns, not away, but sideways. A new direction. Not toward, not back, forward. Her steps are deliberate again. Not heavy, not hurried, but with the kind of grace that says, I've seen something, and I'm ready to keep going. I follow once more. She leads me down into a shallow gully, where the snow collects like a slow breath. The trees here are thinner, their trunks silvery in the starlight. The wind returns, softer now, as if it's calm too. We pass a stone marked with claw scratches, deep and deliberate. She pauses only a second to look, then moves on. She's not here to stay in someone else's story. She's writing her own now. And I, lucky to follow her pages, walk a little quieter. We walk together now in a different rhythm. It's subtle, but I feel it. A shift in the space between us. She no longer keeps me at the distant edges of her awareness. She lets me trail close enough to hear her pause in the snow, close enough to see the delicate rise and fall of her breath. The silence between us is no longer watchful. It's companionable. The forest has widened again. The trees are spaced farther apart, and the land flattens into a frozen meadow rimmed with low willows. The snow here is wind-scoured, revealing streaks of pale earth beneath. She steps onto it like she's been here before, and maybe she has. She pauses at the edge, her nose lifting, eyes narrowing slightly. The wind brushes past again. Not loud, not biting, just persistent. She faces into it and closes her eyes, the tufts of her ears trembling gently. This place smells of memory. She begins to walk across the meadow, and I follow, boots crunching more loudly than I'd like. She doesn't look back. Her paws press into the thin crust of snow, soft and certain. We reach the far end of the clearing, where the ground begins to rise again in a gentle slope. She stops at the base and turns, not to face me, but to settle. She circles once, then lowers herself into the snow. Front legs folded, back legs tucked, Her chest rises and falls in slow, even breaths. Her eyes remain open, but soft. Not alert, just present. I take a spot nearby, nestling into a hollow where the wind can't quite reach. My body sinks into the snow, and I let the cold hold me. It's not cruel, it's grounding. She closes her eyes. The night grows quieter still. Far above us, the aurora begins. At first, just a faint shimmer, barely visible, like moonlight spilled across the stars. Then it strengthens, swaying in green ribbons, gentle and slow. The lights dance in silence, casting a glow across the snow that makes every branch shimmer. She opens her eyes again. She sees it. Her head lifts, eyes wide, not with fear, but awe. She watches the sky with the stillness of someone who understands things can be beautiful without needing to be understood. Did you know lynxes have excellent night vision? Their eyes are specially adapted to detect the smallest movements in near-complete darkness. But in moments like this, I wonder if their eyes are also designed to see beauty where we wouldn't think to look. She blinks slowly, pupils wide, and I wonder, does she think the sky is alive? The aurora shifts, green bleeding into violet, into blue, into a pale silver that feels impossibly soft. The meadow reflects it like glass, the snow glows, and in that glow, she rises again. Not in alarm, not in need, just because it's time. She turns toward a narrow path leading out of the clearing, her body framed by the light above. Her coat seems to shimmer, blending into the silvered trees and snow like a brushstroke fading into canvas. And she walks. I follow, silent now. There is no need to narrate this part aloud. The forest has taken over the storytelling. Still, I notice the details as we move. The way her tail flicks once every few steps. The tiny crystals of frost gathering at the tips of her whiskers. The soft exhale she releases as she passes a hollow tree, where a gust of wind hums briefly, then disappears. We walk along a frozen creek bed now, its edges lined with stones half buried in snow. The ice beneath our feet groans faintly, not in warning, but like it's remembering something. She steps carefully, her paws avoiding cracks instinctively. Halfway down the creek, she pauses again. She looks behind her, not directly at me, but back along the trail we've just walked. Her ears tilt slightly, and for a moment I think she's listening to her own past. And then she steps off the creek and onto a rise covered in thin birch saplings. She disappears between them for a few seconds. When I catch up, I see where she's gone. A small outcrop of stone sits here, barely 3 feet high, surrounded by wind-worn brush. She climbs to its top, turns once in a circle and lies down. The aurora continues above us. From this height she can see everything we've passed. The clearing, the frozen meadow, the shadowed tree line. And something about the way she lies there, paws tucked beneath her, eyes half-lidded but still watching. It feels like a kind of claiming. She's not seeking now. She's observing. They say lynxes mark their range subtly, with scent glands on their paws, with the soft scrape of claws on bark. But I wonder if this is a kind of marking too. A way of saying, I was here. I saw this. It's mine now. She blinks slowly. The lights in the sky shimmer again, and for a moment, I could swear they flicker in time with her breath. I sit beside the outcrop, back against a snow-covered root, and let my head fall back. The stars twinkle faintly behind the curtain of aurora. Everything above me feels soft and far away. She closes her eyes again, and this time I do too. And we rest. Not from exhaustion, not from retreat, just to be still in a world that moves whether we do or not. Somewhere beyond the trees, an owl calls, low and steady. She twitches her ears, but doesn't stir. This is what healing looks like in the wild. Not dramatic, not loud. Just a lynx beneath the aurora, who no longer fears her own footprints. And me, lucky enough to witness it. When I open my eyes again, the sky has shifted. The aurora still dances overhead, softer now, more like a breath than a blaze. It pulses gently across the stars, a pale ribbon unraveling across the heavens. Below, the forest waits in stillness. She hasn't moved much. Still perched atop the outcrop, she lifts her head slowly, ears twitching in time with some distant rhythm I can't hear. Her eyes catch the fading green light above, reflecting it back like mirrors dipped in dawn. Then she rises. A stretch first, long and slow. Front legs out, back arched, tail curling upward. Snow clings to her fur in small clumps, which she shakes off with a single elegant motion. Then she hops lightly down from the stone and lands with hardly a sound. And just like that, we begin again. She chooses a path I hadn't noticed before, narrow and sloping downward through the birch. Each step is deliberate, calm. There's no urgency in her movement, but there is purpose. The trail narrows into a corridor of saplings. The trees crowd together here, their slender trunks swaying gently as the wind weaves between them. She moves like water, fluid and unhindered. I follow more slowly, ducking beneath low branches, letting the forest close around me. This place feels older, not by age exactly, but by energy. The snow is deeper, untouched. The ground beneath it hums faintly, as if it remembers footsteps long since faded. A stillness lives here, not the brittle hush of fear, but the kind that settles in places where time slows down. She pauses at a fallen log, its trunk split by frost. Something's caught her attention. I see it too. Tracks. Not hers. Not the other lynx's. These are small, light. A fox, maybe, or a marten. She sniffs once, then steps over the log and continues on. Whatever story those prints tell, it's not the one she's writing tonight. The land flattens again, opening into another small glade. This one darker, bordered by evergreens so thick they seem to lean inward. She walks into the center, then stops, stands perfectly still. I stay at the edge. The wind hushes just briefly. A silence wraps around us that feels different than before. Not emptiness, intimacy. And then I hear it. A soft sound, almost nothing, but real. Footsteps, faint and muffled by snow. Not hers, not mine. I hold my breath. She turns her head slightly, not alarmed, curious. From the shadowed edge of the glade, a figure emerges. A second lynx. Not the one from earlier. Smaller, lighter in build. Eyes pale and alert. He steps into the clearing without hesitation, paws pressing gentle prints into the snow. His coat glimmers in the faint aurora light, almost silvered. They stare at each other across the clearing. She doesn't move. Neither does he. And then, slowly, tentatively, he walks closer. Not directly, at an angle as if tracing a respectful arc. She watches, body still but unguarded. He stops a few feet away. They're close enough to touch, but they don't. They just exist beside one another. It's an unusual thing to see. Lynxes are solitary by nature, and meetings like this rarely last long. But tonight, something holds. Maybe it's the stillness of the air. Maybe it's the softness of the snow. Maybe it's simply the right moment. He sits. She sits. Two shadows beneath the stars. And me, trying not to blink too loudly. They don't touch, They don't call, but something passes between them, unspoken, unmeasured. Some biologists suggest lynxes communicate in ways we can't yet decode, through scent, posture, subtle shifts in ear position or tail movement. It's not language exactly, but it's real. I feel it now, a quiet acceptance. He doesn't stay long. After a few minutes, 5, 10, I'm not sure, he rises again. No flourish, no sound. He turns and slips back into the trees, vanishing as completely as he arrived. She watches him go, not with longing, not with sadness, with understanding. And then she stands, not to follow, to continue. She walks toward the opposite side of the glade and disappears into the trees. I scramble to follow, heart thudding not from fear, but from awe. What just happened wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even fully visible, but it was real. A moment shared. A breath in time where two wild things remembered they weren't alone in the world. I catch up with her near a frozen creek that winds between the trees like a silver ribbon. She walks beside it, not on it. The banks are lined with fallen needles and frost-dusted moss. We move in silence, her shoulders rising and falling in an even rhythm. And as I walk behind her, I notice the way the light hits her paw prints. Each one glows faintly, just a rim of silver where the snow's been pressed flat. It looks like she's walking on stars. Eventually, the trees begin to thin again. The wind returns, steady and calm. She lifts her head, tasting it once more. And I know she's ready for what comes next. Not because the forest has changed, but because she has. The forest opens once more, not into a clearing, not into a meadow, but into something quieter. Space. There are fewer trees now, fewer shadows. The snow lies smoother, more expansive, as if the land itself has exhaled. She steps onto this openness with ease, as though she's walked this trail in dreams. Her paws leave light impressions behind her, each print shallow and sure. There's no hesitation now, no backward glances, just forward. I stay behind her, far enough not to interrupt, close enough to feel the air she stirs. Above us, the stars shine brighter than ever, free of cloud, free of curtain. The aurora has softened into the background, a faint glow near the horizon like the last flicker of a story's end. And I realize we've reached a moment the whole journey has been building toward. Not a climax, not a revelation, a quiet understanding. She climbs a small hill dotted with frost-bitten shrubs. At the top, she halts. Not to rest, to look. From this perch, the world stretches wide. Ridges, valleys, snow-silvered forests that ripple like sleeping seas. It's not a view of where she's going. It's a view of where she's been. She doesn't sit. She doesn't linger. She breathes it in, this map made from memory and movement, and then she steps forward again. Her body moves with quiet strength. Her shoulders roll smoothly beneath her coat. Her ears flick, not in fear, but in tune with the wind now constant at her side. This isn't the same lynx I met hours ago. That young, hesitant shadow watching from behind a spruce tree, unsure if the forest would let her belong. She's gone. In her place is a creature who walks as if the trees are no longer watching her, but welcoming her. We descend the far side of the hill slowly. The snow here is softer, freshly fallen. Her paws break through the top layer, but she doesn't mind. Her rhythm never falters. Halfway down, she stops. At first, I don't see why. Then I notice the trees ahead have changed. Taller, older, more spaced apart. Their trunks rise like pillars, bark silvered and worn, the kind of grove that feels sacred, even if no one says so. She walks into it, and I follow. We pass beneath branches that barely move even in the wind. The snow here is untouched. No tracks, no markings. It's as if no one has passed through for years, and yet she walks it like a remembered path. Her nose lowers. She sniffs a trunk. Her tail sways. She circles a tree once, then moves to the next. Something is here. Not a den, not a meal. A presence. The wind circles us in a slow, thoughtful hush. The pines creak above, low and distant, like old voices saying nothing in particular, just murmuring their age. Then I see it. A broken branch. A shallow scrape on bark. A mark in the snow, half covered. Signs of life. Not hers. Another lynx? Or maybe many? This place wasn't empty. It was waiting. She walks deeper into the grove. More slowly now. Not tired. Reverent. She circles once more, then lowers herself onto a bed of snow beside a great tree whose trunk forks low to the ground. Its roots curve upward like the arms of something sheltering. She settles there. And this time, she rests fully, not crouched, not alert. She lies on her side, eyes soft, breath steady, and for the first time, she closes her eyes without immediately opening them again. She's not just pausing, she's staying. Some part of me wants to move closer, to share this space beside her. But I don't. I sit a short distance away, letting the hush fill the space between us. The wind settles again. The stars wheel slowly overhead. In the distance, an owl calls. Not close, not urgent, just marking time. I think about everything she's walked through tonight. Snow, silence, wind, absence, and now, arrival. Not at a destination exactly, but at a place within herself where she no longer has to question every step. She trusts her pause. She trusts the wind. She trusts the forest. And in the hush that follows, I trust it too. Some naturalists still argue whether lynxes can feel connection, or if their solitude is purely functional. But tonight, I've watched a young wild thing come to terms with her aloneness and turn it into something whole. She didn't need another lynx to finish her story. She only needed space to grow into it. And now she sleeps. I watch the rise and fall of her side, slow and even. I watch the wind lift the fur on her back like a lullaby. I watch the forest lean in, not to threaten her, but to tuck her in. And I know that whatever comes after this, she's ready. Because she walks with the wind now, and she no longer looks back. The forest is still now. The snow has settled. The stars have found their places. And the wind, once restless and searching, drifts through the trees in soft, even sighs. Every sound has softened. Every edge has rounded. She sleeps beneath the ancient pine, limbs tucked in, breath warm against the frozen earth. No longer a shadow, no longer a question. Just a lynx at peace in her own skin, in her own quiet world. Above her, the sky deepens into the color of rest. The last threads of aurora melt into the dark, and the stars blink slower. Even the wind seems to tiptoe now, careful not to disturb the hush. Around her, the forest exhales. It remembers her. It welcomes her. And it waits, calm, steady, for the sun to return. Somewhere far away, another creature stirs. An owl stretches its wings. A fox lifts its head. But here, in this sacred pocket of snow and breath and time, everything waits. Everything listens. She dreams now, maybe of paw prints trailing into fresh snow, maybe of the breeze moving through her fur. Or maybe of nothing at all, just the feeling of stillness cradling her like roots, like memory. And as you breathe with her, slow, steady, you begin to feel it too. Your shoulders soften, your thoughts quiet. The night wraps around you gently, asking nothing in return. So wherever you are, under blankets, under stars, beneath a roof, or beneath your own quiet thoughts, know that you too can rest now. The journey is done. The wind is kind, and you are safe. Good night, dreamer.